Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. College football week 8 is here, starting up on Tuesday night. We got Middle Tennessee on the road at Liberty, some Conference USA action. Liberty's laying 14.5 points at home here. That number is up from 13.5. Total sitting at 56.5.
Welcome to The Sauce. The Sauce. Sauce. Hey, get the sauce.
So the public's all over Liberty in this one, pretty heavy, just like they were last week. Odds makers definitely react to it. They, like I said, they moved the line from 13.5 up to 14.5, crossed over 14. We'll see if this one keeps moving. I could see this one getting as high as 15.5 by kickoff. So let's start with Middle Tennessee, obviously coming off a win last week. And we knew that Middle Tennessee was capable of winning football games if they could just stop turning the ball over and shooting themselves in the foot. And look what happened last week. I mean, they didn't even play a great game. MTSU was actually outgained on their home field, but still managed to grab the win. Vadiato only dropped back to pass 29 times. It's the first time all season he hasn't attempted more than 30 passes in a game. And he played his best game of the year. 23 of 29, 249 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, and a 173 passer rating. But now he's got to go on the road where he's been significantly worse this year. In his 3 road games, he's averaging less than 200 passing yards per game, 5.3 yards per attempt, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, compared to over 300 yards per game, 8.5 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, 3 picks in his 4 home games. His passer rating at home is 50 points higher than his passer rating on the road. To be fair to Nicholas Vadiato, though, of his 3 road games, 2 of them were at Missouri and at Alabama in week 1 and week 2. So let's give him a little bit of a pass, I'd say, for opening up the season with back-to-back road games against SEC defenses. Now, the 3rd road game was at Western Kentucky, and he was bad in that one also. But you know what? Western Kentucky is currently 1st in Conference USA in yards per pass attempt allowed. So I don't think there's enough data here for us to declare that Vadiato can't play on the road. So what do we think of Liberty's defense? Specifically, Liberty's defense against the pass, because we know that's all Middle Tennessee can do. They can't run the ball. That's a pass-first offense all the way. And on paper, Liberty's defense looks great through the air this year, but the thing is they haven't been tested at all. In Liberty's 6 games so far this season, the best passing attack they've seen is New Mexico State, who currently sits 95th in effective pass. Middle Tennessee will be the best passing attack that Liberty's seen so far this season. Now, does that mean I think Vadiato's going to go on the road and throw for 400 yards at Liberty? No. I'm just saying they haven't seen an offense like this before. Middle Tennessee throws the ball on over 55% of their snaps. That's much different than the offenses Liberty has seen so far this year. Just to further hammer home the point that Liberty hasn't played anybody yet, according to team rankings, Liberty is 119th in the FBS in strength of schedule. Now, on the other side of the ball, we already know what Liberty's going to do. They're going to run the ball because that's what they do. They are 12th in the FBS in run frequency, 10th in effective rush, 12th in yards per carry. They run the ball often and they run the ball well. Quentin Cooley's been running all over everybody. He's averaging about 100 yards per game on the ground and 6 yards per carry. They also have another back who's averaging 5.8 yards per carry, and their quarterback's averaging 4.9 yards per carry and has rushed for 6 touchdowns already. No question, this Liberty run game is dynamic and dangerous. This is a great rushing team. That being said, we do have to mention they haven't played anybody yet. Now, here's where this handicap gets tricky. Middle Tennessee's defense, right? So Middle Tennessee, on paper, has an excellent run defense. And when I say on paper, they're allowing just 3.6 yards per carry on the season. 3.6. Nobody has run the ball on Middle Tennessee yet this season outside of Alabama in week 1. Now, I have to emphasize the point on paper. These numbers need to be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt because Middle Tennessee has basically only seen passing offenses so far. You can't give a team credit for shutting down the run against a team that doesn't run the ball. The only rushing offenses that Middle Tennessee has seen so far this year, week 1 at Alabama, and honestly, they held the tie to just 5.1 yards per carry for week 1 on the road in Tuscaloosa, this Middle Tennessee team. I don't think that's that bad. Then they played Jackson State, which is definitely a run-first offense, and they held Jackson State's run game down. Jacksonville State had 46 carries for just 166 yards rushing in that game, 3.6 yards per carry, and Zion Webb had a 61-yarder in there. So if you take out that run, Jacksonville State only averaged about 2 yards per carry against Middle Tennessee, and Jacksonville State can run it. That's a solid Conference USA run game right there, so they couldn't do anything on the ground against Middle Tennessee. So I think this Middle Tennessee defense matches up well against Liberty. I mean, Liberty has more talent on the offensive side, so I'm sure they'll make plays, but as a whole, I think Middle Tennessee is going to give that offense some problems. Betting this game for me comes down to one aspect. Do I trust Middle Tennessee to keep it together? Because if Vadiato plays a clean game, doesn't turn the ball over, Middle Tennessee should be right in this one and could potentially be a live dog. Problem is, we've seen this team continue to make so many mistakes week in and week out. I mean, yeah, they played a mistake-free game last week, but look at the other handful of games this year. It's tough to trust Middle Tennessee, but I'm going to do it. I'm taking the points here. I mean, will Vadiato come out and throw a couple picks in the first half and make me want to break something in my house? Possibly, but I think this is the correct side to be on. I think there's going to be opportunities for Vadiato to make plays on the Liberty secondary, so give me Middle Tennessee plus 14.5 next game. Western Kentucky on the road at Jacksonville State. Some more Conference USA action. Jacksonville State catching a full touchdown at home, +7. Total sitting at 60. So it looked like the sharp action was coming in on Western Kentucky early, but it's all swung back towards Jacksonville State now. They're looking like a pretty public dog. Line is still at 7 as I'm recording this. I'm curious to see if it drops to 6.5. This is going to be a tough matchup for both defenses. First, you got Jacksonville State, who can defend the run. Jacksonville State does play solid defense against the run. Well, they did. Liberty ran the ball a little on them last week, but they haven't shown us they could stop a passing attack at all. One of the worst pass defenses in the entire country, rated 119th in effective pass. Both times Jacksonville State saw an offense that can throw the ball, they got lit up through the air. Coastal Carolina game, Grayson McCall had almost a perfect day throwing the ball in Jacksonville State, averaged 9 yards per attempt, a 161 passer rating. Then our boy Nicholas Vadiato from Middle Tennessee threw for 408 yards on Jacksonville State. He averaged 10 yards per pass attempt. He threw 2 picks in that game and still had a 153 passer rating. Want to know who has a much better passing attack than both Coastal Carolina and Middle Tennessee? Western Kentucky. Austin Reed threw for 4,700 yards last season. He led the entire FBS in passing yards. The year before that, want to know who led the FBS in passing yards? Bailey Zappi for Western Kentucky. He threw for 5,900 yards. That was over 1,000 passing yards more than second place on the passing leaderboard. Since Tyson Helton took over as head coach at Western Kentucky, it's been nothing but air raid offense. Now, Western Kentucky is a one-dimensional offense to the maximum. They're 120th in effective rush. They're terrible. They can't run the ball, but they can definitely throw it. 25th in effective pass. This is a Conference USA program with a top 25 passing attack. Considering Jacksonville State couldn't stop Coastal Carolina or Middle Tennessee through the air, I find it hard to believe that they're going to make stops against this Western Kentucky offense. Now, on the other side of the ball, Jacksonville State's offense is the complete opposite. This is a run-first offense, as we know. And on paper, Western Kentucky should be perfectly equipped to stop that. WKU is 57th overall defensively, 47th in effective rush, 77th in effective pass. But we got to take a closer look at this because Western Kentucky was getting ran all over in the beginning of the season. In the first 3 games, WKU was allowing 260 rush yards per game on 5.78 yards per carry. In the 3 games since then, they're only allowing 143.7 yards per game on 3.85 yards per carry. So the question we got to ask ourselves here, did Western Kentucky figure it out? Are they playing better defense against the run? Or have they just played bad rushing offenses? Because their last 2 games were against Louisiana Tech and Middle Tennessee, 2 teams that can't run the ball at all, but they did go on the road into Troy and held them to just 3.7 yards per carry in week 4, so that's worth noting. As I said before, running the ball is all Jacksonville State can do offensively. They're 81st in effective rush, back at 124th in effective pass. They've run the ball in over 60% of their snaps this season. That's the 13th most in the FBS. So the question you got to ask yourself is, do you trust Western Kentucky's defense to slow down the Jacksonville State run game? And I think the answer is yes. Keep in mind, they are coming off a bye week. They've had 2 weeks to prep for this game. We just saw Liberty and Middle Tennessee hold this Jacksonville State team to under 4 yards per carry. So personally, yeah, I think Western Kentucky's going to do a good job defensively here, which is why I'm going to lay the points. If you like Jacksonville State to get the run game going, I would glance at the over 59.5 or 60, whatever you can get it at. But personally, I'm just playing WKU. I'm waiting it out though, because Jacksonville State's looking like it's going to be a public dog. I would love to grab a Western Kentucky minus 6.5 closer to kickoff. Next up, we're talking Sun Belt football. We got Southern Miss on the road at South Alabama. USA laying 17.5 points here, total sitting at 53. So this line got as high as 18.5 on early Monday afternoon. It's now dropped back down to 17.5 on most books. Sharp action seems to be on South Alabama with the public leaning Southern Miss. I'm actually skipping this one for now. I haven't bet a Southern Miss game yet this year, so I don't know much about how that team's looking. I'm going to look into it in the morning, and maybe I'll post a bet for this one on the website, but as of right now, this is a pass for me. If you want my top bets, parlays of the day, or if you want to join our Discord, head over to KyleKirms.com. The information's right there on the homepage. College football week 8. I got crushed on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, and then ended up finishing the week all right. I had a winning Friday night and a decent Saturday, so hopefully we don't get off to a bad start again this week. Remember to bet responsibly, and I'll talk to you in the Discord.